90% of the results you get when launching a business come from understanding people's needs. And believe it or not, but 35% of startups fail because they don't manage to do so. The reality is that without a proper process and the right methods to reach out to potential users, it's nearly impossible to guess what people truly want. Lucky you, in the last 6 years, I built, grew, or sold 6 profitable businesses making all more than $1 million in annual recurring revenue. In this video, I will share the exact process I use to build something people truly want. First, we will see why the best founders always talk to users no matter how big their company gets. Second, I'll share how to find users and how to approach them so you can talk to anyone on the planet. And third, I'll give you access to my secret questionnaire so you're sure to ask the right questions and also know what not to ask. And as a bonus, I'll give you access to a Notion file where you have all the templates I used in this video so you don't have to take notes and you can just copy paste everything. Let's assume that you have watched the video on how to get a great idea and now you want to validate whether or not you should start building your business. The best way to do so is to talk to potential customers, or what we call persona, or even sometimes ideal customer profile. A persona is essentially a group of individuals with a similar problem that also share common traits like their role in a company, the type of company they work out, the location, etc., etc. When you talk to customers, your role is to find what is the most important problem they can't solve at the moment. Because if you do, I can assure you that building and growing a business is a lot easier. But how exactly do you find potential customers and manage to talk to them? I usually divide this into 3 categories depending on the degree of connection I have with them. Category number 1, the easy to get in touch with. In that category, I'll look at all my first degree connections. So first, I'll look at my existing contacts on my phone or email, and I'll look at all the people that actually match the persona I want to reach out to. I'll also go on LinkedIn to do exactly the same. If, for example, I target founders of startups, I'll search for founder and then I'll specify to only take into account the ones that are also part of my first degree connection. To show how I would actually do it, let's say that I want to solve the pain of leveraging people's networks in growing a business. So I'm gonna reach out to people with this exact message. Not sure if that's relevant for you, first name, but I'm trying to learn how startups are using people in their network to grow their business faster. I've been talking to a few founders already, and before I start building, I want to make sure that the pain is real. Will you have 15 minutes to chat next week? Cheers. G. Here, the goal is to mention the problem you want to solve in order for you to maximize the amount of people who would be qualified during the user interview. By asking for only 15 minutes of their time, and since you already know these people, the reply rate should be pretty high. As you can see, this message is pretty straightforward, and the reason it is because you have already a connection with these people. Obviously, for the other categories, it will be a bit different. So the second category is what I call the connection point. This is when you don't know the person you reach out to personally, but you can find a connection point. For example, if I know someone who has a super large network of startup founders, I could ask them for an intro to relevant people. And please do not ask intros like this. Hey, do you think you could intro me to XXX? When you ask for an intro, you want to make people's life as easy as possible, which means that you don't want to waste people's time. So here's how I usually do it. Hey, first name, I remember you told me that you knew personally person 1, person 2, and person 3, and I had a small favor to ask. I'm trying to learn how startup founders are using people in their network to grow their business faster, and I'd love to meet with them for 15 minutes. If you think that they'd be okay, here's a message you could copy paste for an intro. So as you can see in this message, I'm already putting the message they just have to copy paste, which make their life super easy. And the message is here. Hey, first name, I'd love to introduce you to Guillaume Moubeche, aka G, founder at L'Empire. He grew his business to more than $150 million valuation in 3.5 years, and is currently working on a new project to learn how startup founders are using people in their network to grow their business faster. G told me that he's pretty flexible next week, so feel free to shoot him some time slot for a 15-minute call if you have time. I'm sure you two will get along well. If not, no stress and stay awesome. As you can see, the effort is super limited here, and you can also leverage the intro message to build a bit more social proof along the way. As a little trick, it's always important to add what I call the push-pull method. You ask for something, so that's the push part, and then you offer a way out, the pull. The reason you want to do it is that from a psychological standpoint, people don't like being told what to do especially when you ask for a favor. But that's not it for the second category. You can also have a connection point that is not a person. For example, you could leverage people from your school or past job. That's still an emotional connection. And since you're asking people for help, the more emotional connection you can build, the higher the reply rate would be. Here, for example, on LinkedIn, I could look at all the people who went to HEC and have in their title founder. And here's the exact message I'm using. I'm reaching out to HEC alumni as I'm working on a new project. Not sure if that's relevant for you, first name, but I'm trying to learn how startups are using people in their network to grow their business faster. I've been talking to a few founders already, and before I start building, I want to make sure that the pain is real. Would you have 15 minutes to chat next week? Cheers. Simple, but also super efficient. The third category is what I call the unknown. At that stage, you have no point of connection whatsoever. So obviously, it gets harder to get a reply. So the only way for it to work is to create a point of connection. And that's where communities are a true goldmine. Building up on my previous example, I decided to join all the communities with startup founders, whether it's on Reddit, Facebook groups, or even Slack communities. There are tons of ways to find communities online, and I agree that it's a bit of a manual process to join them all, but at least you learn a lot faster about your audience. So once you're part of a community, I would first try to answer and help as many people as possible for at least 2 weeks. The goal here is for people to start seeing your name all over the place. If the community is on Facebook, you'll obviously use your full name. However, if it's on Slack, you'll be able to use a different display name. And in that case, a little trick I use is to put my first name and also the name of my company. That way, you will create familiarity with the name of your company, and you will also associate all the help you give to the community with the brand that you're building. And then after 2 weeks of helping out people, here's the message that I would post. I'm trying to learn how startups are using people in their network to grow their business faster. I've been talking to a few founders already, and before I start building, I want to make sure that the pain is real. If you have 15 minutes to chat next week to help a founder out, please leave a comment below and I'll reach out in DM. If not, stay awesome. In that case, what you want to do is have a few friends like and comment your post so it will get more initial reach and social proof. That's what I call the priming. The idea of the priming is to start creating a little bit of virality of your post so more people see it and then more people are inclined to start helping. The first step is always the hardest, so you want to create that priming so more people can actually comment and that you can reach a lot more people. Now, with all these different approaches, I can guarantee that you're gonna get tons of interviews scheduled. If we recap the process, there are 3 essential parts. Number 1 is who am I talking to? In our case, we chose founders at startups and scale up. Number 2 is what am I looking for? Here, I want to know if they care about leveraging people's network to grow their business. Understand why they care or not care, and also know who in the company might care about it. The reason why you want to map out all the stakeholders in the company is that you might realize along the way that the problem is the right problem to solve, but that the targeting is not right. And the third part is how are you going to interview people? I've seen a lot of people talking about questionnaires and things like that, but in my opinion, they're inefficient. Building a business is all about relationship and trust. So do it either in a video call or in person, but don't send shitty questionnaire because in the end, people will not really care and the information you will get will be most of the time inaccurate. But how exactly do you structure your interview? Before I give you the list of questions you must ask during an interview, there are 3 things you need to be careful about. Number 1, do not talk about your product or service. You want to focus only on the problem, because if you start talking about the solution, people will already have a bias. So do not ask yes or no question like, will you use our product or service? Or things like, which features would make our product better? Number 2, listen and don't talk. This is exactly the same as during a sales call. The more the person talk, the more you learn about their problem and the better you'll know what solution to build later on. And the third point is to always ask open-ended questions. That's what I call the child curiosity framework. So for example, if someone comes to tell you that they want to lose weight, following what I call the child curiosity framework, you want to ask why as many times as necessary so you can identify what we call the root cause of the problem. Going back to the person who wants to lose weight. If I ask them why, they might say that they want to look good. But if I ask why do they want to look good, they might say that because they recently met someone they want to date. Then I can keep asking why until I find the root cause. And from that point, I will know what's the true problem I want to solve. It might be losing weight, but actually it might be feeling more confident so you can date the person of your dream. That's why the child curiosity framework is extremely important. Now, let's have a look at the 6 questions you want to ask during an interview and what to expect from it. Number 1, tell me how you do X today.
Can you tell me how you leverage your network to grow your business today?
Yeah, so I tend to ask for as many intros as possible. So whenever it's from my existing network or people I meet, as soon as I hear someone mentioning that they know a person that might benefit from, I usually ask for an intro straight away.
Number 2, what is the hardest thing about doing X? Here, you want to understand the pain point truly.
Why is it so hard to leverage people's network to get referrals or intros?
Because people don't know who's in their network.
Number 3, why is it hard?
What do you mean by people don't know who's in their network?
Well, actually, when you look at your LinkedIn profile, you probably have like tons of first-degree connections, but who do you actually know? Like maybe 1%. And that's an issue because it takes us a lot of time to filter who we can get an intro with and who we can't.
Number 4, how often do you have to do X?
So how often do you have to ask for a referral?
We do this weekly, either from existing clients or from our team member or network.
Can you tell me more about that? When you say from our team member or network, what do you exactly mean by that?
Essentially, we only hire people who previously worked in our industry because we want to be able to leverage their past connections to close more deals. So usually when they join, we try to map out accounts they might have interacted with in the past to see if that could be a fit for us.
Number 5, why is it important for your company to do X?
Why is it important for your company to leverage referrals and intros to grow your business?
So since we work in cybersecurity, it's extremely difficult to build trust with people who don't know you. All of our clients come from intros or referrals, so I would say that referrals are really crucial for us.
This is to understand whether a solution would be a must-have or a nice-to-have. Ideally, the best problem to solve are must-haves because the willingness to pay is a lot higher. Stripe is an excellent example of must-have. Without Stripe, people can't process online payments and therefore don't have businesses, so it's definitely a must. Number 6, what do you do to solve this problem for yourself?
Can you explain a bit in more details? What do you do to solve this problem of not really knowing who knows who and how to best leverage people's network?
So far we put everything in a spreadsheet and we ask people to manually go over each name and see whether or not they might know someone so we could get an intro. But most of the time people forget to do it, so it's a bit messy.
Here, you want to understand what I call the fake solutions. Going back to our weight loss example, you could ask, what have you tried so far to lose weight? And here, someone might say that they watched online videos and it didn't work. The more you learn about the fake solutions, the better your targeting and conversion rate will be because you can use it later on in your marketing copy. For example, you could say something like, if you've tried online videos to lose weight and it didn't work, you came to the right place. Our program has an accountability partner with real coaching that is custom made for your needs. As you can see here, I'm building reports based on the needs and the problems. So each interview should be recorded so you are 100% focused on the conversation. Ideally, when someone did not give you a full answer, you can use the following questions to get more details. What do you mean by that? Can you tell me more about that? Why is that important to you? And then you can go through each interviews and see what are the common traits and how important the problem is. And from there, start building a solution to that problem. You will be able to find all the important parts of this video, including unique checklists and resources in the description. Every week, I'll publish new videos on how to build and grow a B2B business that generates millions of dollars without any BS and giving you practical templates that you can steal. See you on the other side. Peace, love, and profit.